Hi, and welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I'm the founder of Food Truck Training Group on Facebook, co-owner with my beautiful wife, Melissa, of our own food truck called Food Truck 101, and I'm the executive director of the National Street Food Vendors Association, which is a nonprofit dedicated to education, advocacy, and uplifting all food vendors. Today, I'm going to be talking about the licenses that you may need to get your food business started. But before I get into that, I want to remind you guys I'm going to be in Houston, Texas this year, July 29th and 30th at the Food Truck Owners Expo. I'm going to be giving 3 classes, one on writing a profitable menu, one on marketing in the off-season, and the third new class we just added this week is going to be about us as food vendors speaking with one voice so that we can affect change in our industry. If you want to attend the Food Truck Owners Expo, go to ftoexpo.com. Place your order today for those tickets, and when you do, put in the code FTTG15 for a 15% discount. I want to thank Table Needs for sponsoring this episode today of the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. Table Needs is a full-service POS system capable of handling your busy food truck cash, credit card, and reporting needs. Check them out. There'll be a link in the description, and you can learn more about Table Needs. So let's talk about those licenses that you may need to get when you start your food truck journey, because there is some red tape involved in this particular business. So licensing document number 1, let's make it sound official, and that's a business license. What a business license does is it allows you to operate legally within the boundaries of your city or your county. You want to check with your local government to see if there is a requirement to have a business license, and they may call it something different, but basically it is a license that allows you to exist as a business within their boundaries. If you go to different cities, you may need to get a business license for each city that you travel to, because for that particular day you're within their boundaries and they want to be able to track businesses within their boundaries. So a business license, and again, it could be called some other name. So what you want to do when you go to the city hall or the county seat of government, you're going to ask them, what do I need to be able to transact business within this city, within this county? And then they'll tell you what the license name is. You're going to need some type of food permit. This particular permit is going to be a food manager certification. This is what teaches you and keeps you educated about our business. It's a class you got to take. It's a test you got to take. Once you pass the test, then you have this certification. Not all states require it, but I'm telling you, go ahead and take it. There are many brands. There's 11 different companies that offer this particular certification. It's not a food handler. Food handler is employee level. Now, your state may require that, but I want you to get the food manager. That is something totally different than a food handler. Food handler basically is, we're going to teach you how to wash your hands. Food manager is, we're going to teach you what kind of bacteria can grow on the different types of foods that you're going to be selling. So food handler is employee level. Food manager is the owner and the person in charge. You're going to need that certification. Licensing document number 3, you're going to need some type of permit from an agency that says you can sell food in our city, state, or county. Most places it's the health department or it's environmental health, but there are some states that it's a whole different organization that gives you that license to sell food. For example, in Florida, our licensing agency is called the Department of Business and Professional Regulation, DBPR. But depending on what your menu is, you could also get a license from the Department of Agriculture in Florida. In several other states, it's the Department of Agriculture that handles restaurants and mobile food vendors. So you want to find out from your state what agency issues a license for me to be able to sell whatever your menu consists of, hot food, cold foods, whatever. And there could be different agencies that do different things, like Florida, for example. So find out who is issuing that food license. For licensing document number 4, you might need to involve the fire department. That would be for an automatic fire suppression system, if you have a hood system, or it could just be in general. You got to involve the fire department to make sure that you have the right kind of fire extinguisher for your type of cooking methods and for your particular food truck. So you want to involve the fire department. Is there a permit that I need? So that means you're talking to the local fire marshal, and you may need to talk to multiple of them if you're going to different cities. Licensing document number 5, a parking permit. Bigger cities require you to have some type of parking permit if you're going to transact business on their streets. Or you may just have to have a parking permit to be able to park somewhere for a certain amount of time, whether it be an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours. So you want to check and make sure that if one is required, you have it. You don't want to worry about that person that's flashing a badge at you. Are they going to be telling me to move because I don't have the proper permit to be where I'm sitting? So a parking permit, and then it's going to have limitations, how long you can be there and what time you can set up, what time you have to leave. And make sure you understand those restrictions completely, otherwise you can find yourself being fined more money than you brought in for that particular day. Vending document number, or licensing document number 6. It's a vending license or a vendor's license or a peddler's permit. It's also known as a street vendor permit. Basically, it's one more license that lets the local government know that you exist and that you're there. This is a throwback to the era of door-to-door salesmen when they would bring in 4 or 5 guys into a city and then they would blanket the city going door-to-door knocking and trying to sell brushes or pots and pans or books or encyclopedias or something, magazine subscriptions even. So a lot of cities enacted these peddlers permits or vendor permits so that they can track who's in their city. And there are a number of cities that still have these today and require them of a food truck. So you want to ask about peddlers permits or vendor's licenses. And these do not pertain to food. Okay, so don't get them confused. A vendor's license is just you selling products, not necessarily food products. So it is a different license. So that's 6 different potential licenses that you may need. And then there's other things to check out. For example, a tax permit. You may need to have a tax permit, and what that does is it grants you the ability to collect sales tax and then requires you to remit that sales tax to whatever licensing authority is there in your state, city, or county. But you got to find out if you need that. And there are some benefits to having that because then you don't have to be charged sales tax on certain things you're going to resell. For example, napkins. Since you're giving napkins to somebody else as a part of a taxable transaction, you shouldn't be paying sales tax to buy your napkins. It would be non-tax. So you have to have that tax permit. And you'll have a tax exempt number that you have to show to the person you're buying the products from, because you're saying that I need these tax free because I'm going to collect sales tax and I'm the one that remits it, not you. So just in general, you want to look up what is required of you at the city, county, and state levels to be able to transact business, generic business. And then you'll have to do the same search at the city, county, and state levels. What does it take for me to be able to sell food? And what licenses are required. But I've given you 7 places to start today, so hopefully that'll help you out on your journey so you know what kind of red tape you're going to be facing as you start your food truck adventure. Thank you guys so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. Please take a moment to follow our podcast, and if you really like what we do, support us. There's going to be links in the description. Every little bit does help keep us going. Until the next time, you guys have a profitable day.